Hello and welcome to our AFP webinar live stream, Stop Losing Donors, Turn One-Time Gifts into Reliable Monthly Revenue, sponsored by CharityEngine. My name is Robbie and I'll be the operator for the presentation today. Before we get started, I would like to take a moment to acquaint you with a few features of this live stream technology. At any time, you may adjust your audio using your computer volume settings. For closed captions, click the CC icon in the bottom right-hand corner of the video player. Select English to enable closed captions. On the right-hand side of your screen, you will see the audience engagement window with navigational tabs at the top. The chat tab allows audience members to communicate with one another. To send a message to the audience chat, click in the text box and type your comment. To send the comment, press the Enter key or the Send icon. The Q&A polling tab is where you will ask the presenters questions. You will need to enter your first and last name to participate in polls or to ask a question. To ask a question, click in the text box and type your question. When finished, press the Enter key or click the paper airplane icon to send the question. All questions that you submit are only seen by today's presenters. Your questions will be responded to in the order in which they were received and will be addressed at the end of the presentation. We are joined today by our speaker, Erica Waasdorp, and Julie Kennan from CharityEngine. Julie?
Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Kennan, as Robbie said, the Director of Content at CharityEngine, and I'm so thrilled to be here today. I want to start, of course, with a huge thank you to AFP. This is a great platform that really educates nonprofits and gives them great tools to succeed, which we obviously care about. As today's sponsor, we are pleased to bring expert voices to the stage, and there is one of the biggest experts we know in the monthly giving space is Erica Waasdorp. She is a two-time author, a highly sought-after speaker, and I am delighted to bring her unique style and guidance to all of you today. So let me do a quick obligatory commercial about CharityEngine. We offer nonprofit clients an all-in-one CRM. Our platform was built for nonprofits tired of cobbled together systems. Sorry if you can hear my dog moaning over here. Siloed data, poor usability, a cranky team, and nonprofits really sick and tired of being pushed over to more expensive platforms. Click, Erica, please. Our system keeps all your core fundraising tools and your donor data in one place. So you get a 360-degree view of all donor engagement, which helps you engage on a very personalized level. One of our core competencies, click please, is around monthly giving. And as you all know, that's the foundation of every successful nonprofit and why we're all here today. We've developed proprietary billing technology that we call Sustainer IQ, and it guarantees outstanding results for clients. On average, they see a 30% increase in recurring revenue and collect up to 30% more revenue than would be possible with any other system. And lastly, we are very honored to have received an independent certification from another giant in the recurring giving space, Dave Raley. Dave is often asked for recommendations from nonprofits, and so he decided to engage a third-party software firm to independently create the Sustainable Giving certification. We are proud to be the first and so far the only CRM that has been certified. And as you can see, he considers us an ally for charities trying to grow their monthly giving programs. And so experts agree. If you want to grow your monthly giving program, we've got the best technology to help you increase donations and raise more money. And with that, I'll hand it over to Erica.
Awesome. Thanks. I especially like that 90% retention rate. That's really, 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 really great. All right. So here's just a little bit about me. As Julie said, I've written 2 books. I love monthly giving, and I've been doing it for a very long time. So I'm also Dutch. So I took over like a lot of the learnings from Europe and applied that to the US especially. So what we're going to talk about today is how do you create like what I call like a tiny story or a nudge? Some people would call it like the unique value proposition, right? So what is making monthly giving irresistible to donors? Then how can you make that ask? How can you make that happen? And we're going to share like a lot of tactics today that you can really implement with very little time and effort, and certainly not a lot of money associated with it, right? So, because you already have the tools in most cases. Then how do you how do you use those systems? How do you steward those monthly donors? What are you gonna do to really keep them feeling special and keep them to increase that retention rate? And then we're going to have some time for your questions. And I'm going to ask you some questions. We're going to do some polls throughout today's webinar. So get ready with with your keyboard, right? All right. So why is monthly giving, monthly donors, why are they so important? And I'm really excited that it's growing and that more and more organizations are seeing what I call like the light, right? They're seeing the relevance. And why? Because it gives them that reliable revenue and more money. They can count on it, right? But also it's very donor centric. Donors can give in a way that's comfortable. And guess what? We're in a tough spot right now. We're in a tough economy. And monthly gifts may be the way that donors can afford to help you. But also, like, since the subscription world, right? So younger donors like it, they're used to it. It's a great way to use your own resources. You can plan on it, but also, like, typically monthly donors, they're 6 times more likely to leave you in their will. So they're small now, but they're going to give you a big amount of money when they pass on down the road. But again, why is monthly giving so tremendously important? Because retention rates improve. And there's just so many reasons, right? But again, the retention rates improve. That's really critical. But we have disasters going on all the time. Wars are happening. Post offices are striking in Canada, so you just don't know what's going to happen. But having these monthly donors as recurring revenue, that means you can plan on that unrestricted funding that you need to keep the lights on, to keep your mission going, no matter what happens, right? But also, I mentioned it, retention rates improve. This is a study that Neon One did, and they looked at the trends in retention from small to mid-sized to large organizations. And on average, if you have like a lot of like credit card gifts, that retention rate could be about 77%. But if you look at the fact that typical retention rates from donors are like anywhere from like 20 to 40%, you've just doubled the retention rate from these donors, right? So it's really key that those one-time donors that you have now, or those one-time donors that you're going to bring in with your Giving Tuesday or your year-end campaigns, that you try to convert them to give monthly, so that retention rate, they're going to stay with you for a long time. Now, also online monthly giving continues to grow, right? If you look at like this is M&R Benchmarks, one of my favorite studies on trends in the online area, and they saw that monthly giving increased last year by 5%. That was 31% of all online revenue. And then when they compared it with one-time revenue, it was actually flat. So monthly giving was the only piece that still grew. Again, people may not necessarily be able to write the $150 check or to give the $150 credit card gift, but they may be able to give $15 a month, right? So that's why monthly giving is really powerful. And don't think that it's only online. A lot of those organizations that have been doing monthly giving for a while, they're seeing that there's still monthly gifts coming in from the mail, from telemarketing, from email, from texting now, from face-to-face, from visits, right? So every channel you can generate monthly giving. So let's look at a couple of definitions. So right now, a lot of organizations, they have monthly donors. Some organizations are starting to get into quarterly and annual donors, so more recurring donors. But some organizations call them sustainers, committed givers, regular givers, or maybe they have specific names. And I'd love to have you use the chat and type in what you have as a specific name for your monthly giving program, if you have one. So if you have a monthly giving program and it has a specific name, what are you calling it? And I'll wait for a couple of seconds, and Robbie will shout those out at me. Now, while you're typing that in, monthly donors, they retain longer, but they actually also give you more money. So one of the myths that people think of often is like, oh yeah, but once I have them as a monthly donor, then they'll stop giving to other things. And that is not true. Once a donor starts giving monthly, they're actually even more invested in your organization. So if you have a capital campaign, or you have a specific project, or you have an event, or you have like Giving Tuesday or Giving Day or your year-end campaigns, please include your monthly donors in that to reach out and ask them to consider that special opportunity. And in many cases, they will, right? So you're not just getting that monthly donor revenue, you're getting a lot more than that. So Robbie, any takers on the names for a monthly giving program?
Yeah,
Not,
sorry, I was
yeah,
muted.
yeah, yeah.
There's monthly donors, there's missioners, there's the Friendship Giving Circle, the A Team, Creative Makers, Faithful Friends, things like that.
Great. I like that A team. That's great. Awesome. Thank you so much. And while it's relevant, it's great that you have a monthly giving program. If you don't have one, don't wait. You don't need one specifically to get started. Okay. So don't hold it up. Okay. So another question I have is like, and this is not a poll, but I'd love you to you can type in what you think this answer is. So what do you think is the 5-year value of a typical monthly donor? So I'll just give you a second, type it in, and then I'll give you the answer shortly. The answer is it's more than $1,500. So if you look at the average monthly gift, it's about $25 a month industry wide. So again, every organization is different. So I've seen organizations that have like the average monthly gift might be $75 a month, right? But if we're looking at the industry average, it's about $25 a month. So 5-year value, $300 a year is $1,500. So one monthly donor is worth $1,500 over 5 years. Just think about the difference that is going to make for your organization, right? So don't just think about like, oh, this is like just like a $25 gift. No, 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 they're going to be worth a lot of money. Now, and if we look at what's the average lifetime of monthly donors, it's actually even more than 5 years. It's 8 years on average. But Dave and I, we like to use like either annualized value or 5-year value just as a starting point, right? So, but again, if you're just starting out, you don't know what that lifetime value is yet. If you've been doing this for a while, take a look and say, what am I seeing from those monthly donors that came in 5 years ago? What's their value? So this is actually a poll. So I'm going to have Robbie launch the poll just to get a feel for who's in the room. How many monthly donors do you have now? Is it fewer than 100, between 100 and 1,000, more than 1,000, or you're not sure? I'll give you a second to do that. Okay, Robbie, what are you seeing?
We are starting to get some responses in.
I know there's a little bit of a delay, so yeah,
Yes, there is a little
yeah.
bit of a delay, but right off the gate, fewer than 100 is leading,
Mm-hmm.
between 100 and 1,000 in second. So we'll
Great.
just give it another minute, and then I can give you the
Awesome.
final
Yeah,
result.
that's great. It's just kind of a feel for the room. And then, again, this happens a lot, right? So, but just like I heard several people had 100, right? So if you create what I call like, I would like you to start in saying, okay, go back after this webinar and create your benchmark. Hey, on this date, this is what I had in terms of number of monthly donors. What's their typical average gift? What are they worth on an annual basis, right? So if you have 100 monthly donors and that average gift is at $25 a month, $300 a year, that's $30,000 of revenue that you can count on. Now, if you take the 8-year value, those 100 monthly donors are worth $180,000, right? So, so that's like really, really powerful. So go back and say, what is my benchmark? Where am I starting today? And then see how can we grow them, right? That's the key. How are we going to grow that number? All right, now, why do you think donors give monthly? Guess what? They want to help, right? That's the number one reason why they give monthly. But for them, monthly may just be easier. It fits their budget, especially now, right? You know, if it's older donors, they might be on a fixed income, right? So, and it's very, like I said, it's very similar to subscriptions. So you know the amount that you can count on every month. All right, now what are some of the key elements for growth? Commitment, systems, tangible amounts, and storytelling. So the number one piece is commitment. So one of the things when I speak in person, I always ask like people to raise their hands and say, are you giving monthly to your own program? Are you giving monthly to other organizations? Pick a few organizations, say, hey, I really like what they're doing. I care about them. Let me just see what they're doing for their monthly giving program. How easy is it to sign up? What are they sending me? You know, that's how I learn, right? I mean, I give monthly to about 50 organizations, right? So, because you can't ask a donor to commit to you on a monthly basis if you're not committed to them, right? So you also need to be committed to your own program and then learn from others. Systems, I'd love to see, this is not a poll, but it's like in the, if you can enter in the chat, what are you using for your donor base CRM? What are you using for your donor base CRM right now? And again, there's so many different systems out there, right? So, but I'd love to get a feel for what you're seeing in the room for what systems you're using. Tangible amounts, again, I'm going to show you some examples of that and storytelling.
I do
Again,
have some
start
of
with a
those.
tiny story. Go ahead, Robbie. Go ahead.
Oh wow, they are coming in very fast. Salesforce, Razor's Edge, um, HubSpot, Blackbaud,
Yeah,
Give Butter, Charity Proud.
great. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many systems, right? Bloomerang, Neon, you know, like CharityEngine. I mean, you know, there's just a lot of systems, right? So, so that's the thing. Most cases, when I started out in monthly giving, guess what? It was mail and phone. Online did not exist. So, so that was things have definitely changed, right? So, so really, really, you have no excuse not to ask for monthly gifts, really, because you have it. You can do it. All right. So I mentioned commit. You have to do that. And also, you're on this webinar today, so I'm presuming that you're going to be the driver of this program, right? Because if you don't have somebody who's going to commit to growing it, you're going to fail, right? You need to want to grow it. So that's number one. So pick a person or assume accountability and start growing. All right. The second thing is you want to create like what I call like that mini story, the nudge, the value proposition. So ask yourself, ask some people that you know that care about the organization, that give to the organization. So what could a monthly gift do? And then create one line. And again, here it is an example of a monthly donation is the most effective way to help families year round. It makes a difference every day and every month for neighbors in need. So that's one example. I'm going to share a couple of others. And again, so take a look at that. Excuse me. Robbie, you gave me that cough. Sorry. All right. So start, create that one-liner. By giving monthly, you provide dependable support. You can help create lasting change, right? Your monthly gift helps sustain the programs and services that military families rely on, right? So a lot of organizations could be very similar in terms of what that one liner could be. So take a minute and write down just out of the, off the top of your head, like what does a monthly gift do for your organization? What could that do, right? And then you can tweak it. Again, you can always tweak it. I mean, sometimes I give a presentation and it says, hold on. I have a t-shirt and it says, hold on, let me overthink this, right? So we nonprofits, we fundraisers tend to overthink things. So keep it simple. Start with a one-liner. Again, you can always improve it. You can always tweak it. But if a donor says to you, hey, how can a monthly gift make a difference? You have the answer to that, right? And then why is that important? Because you're going to start putting that everywhere, right? You can put it on your donation forms. Use your nudge. You see here an example of a toggle form, right? One time and monthly. So you want to kind of push the donor to say, oh, a monthly donation is the most effective way to help families here. And, you know what? I like that. I'm going to do that, right? So, again, the other thing is like create as much of a clear monthly donation form as you possibly can. Here it is. You make the most impact for our wounded warriors when you support them with a monthly gift, right? So create a monthly version of your form if you haven't done that already, or make it really, really clear, like this example, that you really try to push donors to make a monthly gift. Now, I know sometimes people ask me this, like, should I pre-select the monthly gift option on a one-time donation form? And I typically recommend not to do that. You really want the donor to be very specific and very mindful and very deliberate that they want to make a monthly gift. But I know some consultants and some folks say, yeah, you got to pre-select it. And it's like, no, no, no. If it's a one-time donation form, the donor expects to make a one-time gift and they can choose to click on this button here and then decide to make a monthly gift, and they really want to do that. So, but otherwise, if it's not clear, sometimes colors are not clear, so you really want to make sure that the donor wants to become a monthly donor. All right. Again, create that very, very clear toggle, right? So here it is. You see that monthly gift, it's clearly monthly, then $19 monthly, right? So, and then you put that on the side there, like this is what your monthly gift does, right? So again, very clear every step of the way. It's clear that the donor wants to make a monthly gift. Now, one of the things that's gotten really popular is when a donor makes a one-time gift and up pops this little light box, modal, they also call it, and it says, would you consider making it monthly instead? So again, this is an approach that I do really like, and it works very, very well. So take a look and see if your system can accommodate that. Because again, it's very clear, donate $25 a month, right? So, so again, donors are like, okay, yes, I was going to make a one-time gift, but you know what? Let me make that a monthly gift instead. And again, I know we're at year end, so if you don't have this in place, don't worry about it. January is just fine, right? So if you've heard me speak before, I'm all for keeping it simple and doable for nonprofits because I know it's a very busy time right now. All right, here's an example. This is actually a Blackbot organization, and again, you see like they made a whole page, become a hero of hope for as little as $10 a month. And again, yes, I'll make a monthly gift, and everything else is also monthly, right? Again, you see credit card and checking account, that's very popular. So once you've created that form, you want to get people to go there. Well, the easiest is to add a button and make it easy to find. So here's an example of an organization that added a second button to the homepage. The left you see donate, on the right you see donate and give monthly. And which do you think was the impact of adding that second button? This is a poll actually, Robbie. So what do you think was the impact of adding that second button? It made no difference. It increased the number of monthly gifts by 25%. It increased it by 50%, or it doubled the number. So what do you think was the impact of adding that second button to the homepage? And I'll give you a second. Robbie, what are you seeing?
Increased by 25% and doubled are both neck and neck for the lead.
Neck and neck. Okay. Well, the answer is it doubled the number of monthly donors just by adding a button to the homepage. So if you're in the process of redoing your website, why not consider adding that button to the homepage? But again, buttons are very, very powerful, right? And again, you've done the hard work. You've created that monthly giving page, right? So you got to get people to go there. Again, here's a couple of examples. You throw in a button, I will donate monthly. I help vets and families year round. And then put it everywhere. Put it in your emails, on top of your e-newsletters, right? Make a gift, give monthly. It's a button. It doesn't cost you anything. What do you have to lose by adding a button? I was talking to a small organization recently and they said, hey, Erica, we added a button. We got 8 new monthly donors by just adding that button in our newsletter, right? So it's a button. Uh, you know, can't go wrong there, right? Use your social media and start like posting on monthly gifts here. Become a national park sustainer today to protect and preserve our parks, right? So again, look at all of the opportunities where you can add in the option for donors to make a monthly gift, right? Use your email signature. Every time you send an email to a donor, there it's in there. Become a monthly hope builder, right? But how about using your welcome emails? Anytime that a donor makes a first gift, or when a donor joins your email newsletter, thank you again. Will you take one more step? Consider a one-time gift or become a monthly donor, right? Consider a monthly donation. It's a welcome email. So if you're doing welcome emails, consider including that in your opportunities there. And then, of course, special invitation emails. Consider like a campaign. And again, we're at year end, so I know you probably have done everything already for your year end, and that's fine. But come January, February, think about maybe a Valentine's Day campaign, or maybe you have a special Giving Day campaign. And January, February are really, really good times to consider a monthly giving campaign. So, and that's obviously a little bit more. It's like an email, it's a reminder, it can include a match. Pretty much everything that you're doing for your general fundraising, for your one-time gifts, you can do for your monthly gifts. I worked with an animal charity a while back, and we said, well, let's take a look at some of the best performing one-time gift emails, and why don't we just repurpose it and send it out? But instead of a one-time gift, we asked for a monthly gift. And the story was already done. The pictures were there. We just had to rework the copy a little bit to focus on the monthly gift. And they did really, really, really well by just repurposing some of their prior emails, right? So again, donors don't necessarily remember what you sent them yesterday. I mean, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, right? So just we think that people have seen it all, and the reality is no. If you did something last year that worked really, really well for one-time gifts, try using it for monthly gifts, right? So again, don't overthink it. It's an email. Try it, see what happens, right? Then also in your appeals, include a monthly giving option. And again, this has pretty much become best practice. Most organizations are doing this where they just have a one-liner that says, I will make a monthly gift instead. Or make this a monthly gift or whatever they're using, right? And sometimes you see it on the front, sometimes you see it on the back. I find that the front is like, obviously it's a little bit more in your face. Now, one thing to remember is when you send an appeal to your existing monthly donors, that line, of course, should not be in there. But if you're reaching out to your one-time donors, and especially your lower end donors, like anybody under $250, they are a really good group to ask to consider a monthly gift. So add it to your appeal reply form. Include automated, automatic bank transfer from my checking account and credit card. Include both. And then consider some nudges to your letter, right? Here's a letter that on the left-hand side, it says 3 ways to give. By mail, you can return them a gift. You can give online, or you can give monthly, right? Or consider a PS or a PPS, become a monthly sustainer today, right? So there's no end to the opportunities that you can use to add some nudges to your campaigns, to your activities. You can even include a buck slip to your appeal or to your thank you letter. Again, be mindful that it's like very targeted, right? Again, will you be a hero? Here's why helps even more people in need, right? Easy, secure, and you control how much you give. But how about, and this is something you can do in January or February as well. Like, how about doing a postcard, right? Postcards are great. You can put a QR code in there. You can put a URL in there. It gets the message across as well, especially if you're trying to grow your online monthly donors. So postcards are wonderful. Try to direct people to go there. Do a mailing and a postcard follow-up. Again, postcard is direct mail as well, right? But it's a great opportunity there. And then tie it in with some of your other elements, right? So emails, social media to your mail, right? That is even more powerful. And then guess what? The phone is also very powerful. You can use it to say thank you. If you call your donors who've given, say they've made a gift of $50 and you're calling them to thank them, some organizations do that, then you can say, well, and the donor says, well, I wish I could do more. Well, if the donor says that, that's an prime opportunity to say, well, as a matter of fact, there is a way to do more. Would you consider a monthly gift? And then it's like, oh, what's that? How does that work? And then you can have a conversation, right? But phones are also great for texting, and you can thank the donor. You can remind them about something. You can say wonderful happy birthday, and you can ask them to update their payment information as well. So texting is great. That little phone is super. But basically what you're creating is like a surround sound campaign. So that's the ideal world. But having said that, start with one thing. Start with something that you can do basically tomorrow, right? In whatever it is that you're reaching out to your donors with, and then expand upon that. So, but hey, the more donors hear about this monthly giving, the more likely they're going to do it, because it's not a one-shot deal. It's not like, oh yeah, we're doing one campaign a year and monthly giving. No, no, no. It's a constant planting of the seeds. That's how you will grow. And if you need case studies, send me an email. I know lots of case studies of why that is important to always be asking, and always be planting the seeds. Now, we just talked about a lot of tactics of how you can generate new monthly donors, but it's also relevant to make them feel special. So And again, I know like sometimes people say, well, donate, I want to offer this premium, or I want to do this, or I want to have a breakdown. I want a club and I want different memberships and different levels and whatever. Again, keep it simple. You can always make it more complicated later, right? But so what I recommend that you promise the donor when they make a monthly gift is they can expect updates on how their gifts are helping. You don't have to tell them how often that is. You don't have to say, oh, it's going to be a quarterly newsletter. Da, da, da. No, just tell them you can expect once you make this monthly gift, your special, you can expect updates on how your monthly gifts are making a difference. And then tell them that they're going to get an overview of all of their giving for tax purposes every January. Those are the only two promises that I recommend that you give. So again, don't overcomplicate it. Donors want to help. Monthly giving is a way that is comfortable and doable for them. So we want this program to be doable and comfortable for you as well, right? So make them feel special, but keep your promises doable. Now, having said that, what is great is when a donor joins your monthly giving program, when they first start their monthly gift, no matter how they came in, if you have the manpower, use volunteers, board members, or maybe you have time to handwrite a personal note and send that out as soon as possible. So even if somebody became a monthly donor online, send them something in the mail that they can hold on to and that they know whom to contact if they have questions. So mail your thank you, make it as personal as possible as you can. And then segment your monthly donors in your database. So that way you can recognize them because you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to upgrade them down the road, right? You have to reach out to ask them for extra gifts, right? So make sure that you segment them. And then what you can do is you can take the same newsletter that you're sending to your donors and customize it with just one line difference and send that to your monthly donors as a friend of MPF. That's the name of the National Park Foundation, a friend, right? So not very complicated. So we want to thank you for your ongoing support. One line in the newsletter. The other newsletter, same thing as a donor. That's the only difference, right? So, but you need to make sure that you have them segmented in your database. And then share those impact stories. You're already doing that to your donors. Just make a small version to your monthly donors. Thank you for being a friend, right? This organization, it's not a huge organization. They're doing an amazing job with impact stories, thank yous. It's just upgrades. It's just incredible. And then it's not too late. You can include your monthly donors in your Giving Tuesday. But if you've got them segmented, you can recognize them as a monthly donor and faithful friend. This is like what Houston's Food Bank does, right? They're recognizing the donor as being a monthly donor, and then they're asking for an extra gift, a special gift, right? And that donation form ideally should just be asking for a one-time gift, not a monthly gift, right? Because they're already giving monthly, right? So, so that's really the only difference. But this organization, 25% of their monthly donors were making an extra gift on Giving Tuesday, right? So it's money that otherwise you leave on the table. And just think about like your donors is like, is there something that it's almost like, would they be upset if they didn't know that you had a match going on, or that it is Giving Tuesday, or that it's, you have a special opportunity for them, right? So include your monthly donors in that, but always recognize them as a monthly giver. And then I love this. Remember the 3 R's: recycle, reuse, repurpose. Don't overthink it. Take stuff that you've used in the past. It's okay to recycle. It's okay to repurpose. You have my permission, because I know we can't be coming up with new things all the time, right? So it's totally fine. And again, because donors don't remember. Now, just a couple of key takeaways that I hope that I've convinced you that generating monthly donors is important. It deserves that focus. I just shared just a couple of things, right? So there's so many tactics to grow your monthly donor program. It's as little, sometimes there's a button, right? It's like, where can you plant the seeds? Pick one thing. Pick something you say, oh, I can do a welcome email. Okay, I can do the button. I can do the newsletter, right? So pick something that you're comfortable with and then start with that mini story, right? A one-liner and a button and then expand from there, right? All right, so one more poll, Robbie. What will you do next to grow your monthly donors? Is it nothing? You're going to add a short story to your donation form. You're going to add a monthly giving button to your homepage. You're going to add a giving monthly button to your emails. You ask more often, or it's all or a combination of the above. And I see, oh, there's a lot of questions here. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Robbie, what are you seeing?
The leader in the clubhouse is all or a combination of the above.
Great. Awesome. That's exactly what I would want you to say, right? So, but again, don't, if you're too busy, just like start with one thing, right? So, and again, you can always expand from there. And then I asked you earlier, like create your benchmarks and then write down your goals. There's something magical about writing down your goals. So if you have 50 monthly donors, make it your goal to next year double that number, right? If you have 500 monthly donors, can you get to 750? But write down your goals and put it on your 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 computer or on your billboard, wherever you're on your bulletin board, wherever you're going to put your things, right? So, but write down your goals and then hold on to them and then evaluate at the end of that year and say, hey, guess what? We just, broke through 120 monthly donors, right? So write down your goals because the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So if you're not starting to plant, you're never going to grow those monthly donors, right? So, and that's really what it's all about. You got to start planting the seeds. All right. So with that, let's see if we can go. We're now opening it for questions, and I think I have some time, right? So this is good. Great. Perfect. 44 minutes. All right. So let's see. And please feel free to add some more questions. Robbie will put them in. All right. So question is, currently we do not have any monthly givers, although we've encouraged it on appeals. What other recommendations do you have to encourage people to give monthly? So yeah, I don't know what you have done exactly on your appeals. I know sometimes organizations are like they put it on the back of the reply form, so it's not that obvious. So you could consider putting a buck slip in an appeal to kind of give a little extra push. You can add some emails to your appeal to say, hey, I hope you saw this opportunity to give monthly. It really makes a difference. So and again, start adding the buttons. And again, it's not something that you just do once. It's a constant. And somebody asked me the other day, like, how often should I ask before they consider it? And again, some people they need to see it 4 times, other people they need to see it 7 times, other people they start right off the bat, right? So the key thing is that don't wait too long, right? Donors who are recent and they just made a gift, they're the most hot to trot to make a monthly gift. So think about like if you're signing an acknowledgement and you have an ask in there, like that's one thing. Or if you have an acknowledgement you're sending out and just include a buck slip talking about other ways to give, right? So again, always be planting seeds. So people will say, oh, yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, you know what? I thought about it. Yeah, that's a great way to consider it. All right, question. We have run several monthly giving campaigns with incentive offer, friendship bracelet, target messaging event participants, $5 a month with dollar handles, child story. Nothing seems to work for us. So again, and feel free to like after I'll share my contact information as well. If you say, hey, let's take some of these questions offline. Uh Again, I don't know what else what you're doing in your emails. What you could consider is reach out to some monthly donors that are already giving monthly and ask them for a testimonial and use that in emails and messaging to your other donors. Reach out to your board, ask them to become a monthly donor, reach out to your volunteers if you have them. I know sometimes event donors can be a little harder to persuade. And you said there, here it is, target messaging to event participants, right? So sometimes that's a little bit hard. But again, it's you can't just do one campaign and and give up. You need to be constantly asking donors to consider it. So um but testimonials work well. Sometimes donors need to hear from other donors that have already done it. Like, oh, okay, if Joni does it, I can do that too. And again, my organization is big on fundraising events. Yeah. How do we get the internal support for monthly giving to our annual fund? Well, again, it all depends on obviously how many donors you have, how many donors you get in from events, what type of fundraising events, because sometimes it's a walk, sometimes it's like a gala, right? So monthly giving is the sweet spot is anybody who gives less than $250. And those donors typically who have given more than once. So they're hot to trot, they care about you, they've tested you out. So, but I would say the other piece is create some, if you need to convince somebody, is like, okay, create an overview and how many donors do you have? What could the potential be if you could convert like 1%, 5% of those monthly donors? What's the long term? Because again, monthly giving is a long-term game, right? So it's not about one-time gifts only. It's like, okay, well, we're converting them to give for a very long time. And it's a way that they can give in an easy way for them. So you need to create a little bit of a projection. And again, happy to help with some templates and plans and whatever, because every single organization is different. You may have so many email addresses, you may have so many direct mail addresses, you may have so many phone numbers, right? So, but it's all about like I hope I've given you some reasons why monthly giving is important because you need to keep the lights on. Um, can the monthly giving structure operate at a private school? Yes, absolutely. I don't see a reason why not. Again, it's just a way for a donor to give in that is comfortable for them, right? So sometimes people say, "Oh, I can't write the $250 gift check." Well, could you make it $20 a month? That's the same amount of money on an annual basis, right? All right, wow, great questions. Okay, many of our donors are giving through DAFs. Okay, what advice do you have about reaching out to those donors for monthly gifts? Are they able to automatically give monthly out of most DAFs? As far as I know, most DAFs allow you to make a recurring grant, right? Make a recurring gift, absolutely. But again, it depends a little bit on what their level of giving is right now. So you don't necessarily want to make a $10,000 DAF donor, give $50 a month, right? But start planting the seeds. If you have a DAF, consider making a monthly gift from your DAF, and that's typically $50 or more. So that's typically a minimum of $50 to make a recurring grant, right? So yes, it's all about like, yeah, consider a monthly gift. And oh, by the way, if you have a DAF, you can also give monthlies from your DAF. I mean, Schwab actually did a whole study earlier in the year about the number of recurring grants and how it is growing, right? So take a look and see out of your DAF donors, how many donors are already making recurring grants now? And question 6, I've kind of answered that. Do you include your monthly donors in your annual appeals? Yes, but not necessarily all of them. So it depends a little bit on how often you're reaching out in your annual appeals. Year end, I would say that's a no-brainer. And then, if you have a print newsletter, that's a no-brainer. Include them in there. But then take a look and say, what are your strongest annual appeals? Like, say you're doing a match every year. That's a great appeal to reach out to your monthly donors in. So, I mean, I would typically recommend like 2 to 4 years a year, 4 times a year, to reach out to your monthly donors in your annual appeals. Have you seen anybody effectively use recurring giving as a theme for Giving Tuesdays? Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple. A lot of times people they're focused on getting the one-time gifts, and then they follow up after Giving Tuesday to ask them to convert for a monthly gift. But there's a few daring organizations that have gone straight out for recurring, but most of them are like, hey, I've got this match. I need you to give right now. There's a few organizations that have made it a thanks for giving campaign. So, and they actually received some donations from it as well, but you're not necessarily getting as many donations on Giving Tuesday. So lots of different ways. Again, it all depends a little bit on how it fits in your overall strategy, in your overall plan. How often do you reach out to your donors now? But yes, definitely great opportunity. And I was reading I don't remember where I saw the stat, but yes, I think it might have been Neon One in their generosity report for Giving Tuesday, how many monthly gifts they saw on Giving Tuesday. Because remember, if you have the form that has the one time and the monthly, right? And every single form has that, right? I mean, regardless whether it's a toggle or not, there's always make this a recurring gift. So you could get some donors that say, well, I'm not ready to make a one-time gift, but I could consider a monthly gift right now, right? So make that an option, or maybe throw it in the PPS, right? Um, let's see. Would you suggest postcards as a tool to get monthly donors from your house list? I mean, postcards are not the greatest to get the first gift from a donor. If they don't know you, they're like, oh yeah, what's this postcard? Oh, that's great. So, but yes, but postcards are great for existing donors to try to consider making a monthly gift, right? Um, it could be used like I work with an organization and they did a Valentine's Day campaign. So they had a postcard that they sent out, and then anybody with an email address, they sent a series of 3 emails around Valentine's Day, and that was their best approach. So again, it's that combination, right? Just like that example that I shared in the webinar today. It's like it's the postcard and the email together that work really, really well. But postcards are great. I would not use postcards as an acquisition mailer. So, and I've been doing direct mail for a long time, 42 years. How many times a year would you suggest sending a thank you acknowledgement to your monthly donor? Great, great question. So it I'm going to give you the typical answer. It depends, right? But the first thing is like when somebody joins the first gift, send them a thank you letter, hard copy in the mail. They're going to hold on to that, right? And then in that, you say you're going to receive updates, but you're not necessarily going to receive monthly thank you letters, right? But you're better off like sending a thank you letter that's more like a little update, like a newsy letter, right? So, and again, it all depends on your bandwidth. Some organizations, they sent me a quarterly impact letter as a monthly donor, right? So that's much more powerful because it does 2 things. Number one, it thanks them for their monthly gift, but it also ties them together to your organization, to your mission, and it tells them the impact. It tells a story. right? It's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a monthly donor. I'm part of this, right? I'm really proud of that, right? So anything that you could do to kind of give that donor the feeling that they're part of your mission, that they're contributing to your success, to the impact that you're making on the constituents that you work with, right? That's the key. So take a look. And sometimes like organizations might have major donor departments, or they might have mid-level donor departments. Borrow from there. Like donors love like uh webinars, or whatever you call it, online updates, or with the executive director or with somebody from the field, right? So there's lots and lots of different things that are much better and more powerful than just sending a standard thank you letter that you really don't need to. All right, how much time do I have left? Okay, 4 minutes. Okay. We were thinking of having giving levels to encourage more donations. Okay. All right. Do you recommend establishing a bigger monthly giving base before launching giving levels? Okay. So here's the thing. Don't worry about giving levels and having special benefits for giving levels. You're better off like just creating a donation form and trying to get donors to that donation form, and you already have giving levels on your donation form. And let me tell you why I say that. An organization, animal charity, they actually did a test with an email where they said, you can become a monthly donor for $4 a month. And they were like, everybody's really worried. Oh, we don't want to get donors that are just giving $4 a month, right? What happened was they then sent them to a page where you had $4 a month and $10 a month and $20 a month. And what they ended up seeing was that the average gift that the donors gave was very similar to their prior campaigns, but they got more people to do it. So again, so you want to drive people to a donation page where you already have multiple giving options, but don't go crazy worrying about levels and benefits and they get this and that and you go nuts. Okay. Just like keep it simple. Again, you can always make it more complicated, but start with simple, because the more choices you have, then it's like, I mean, the donor's not necessarily going to motivate because you're giving him a Chotsky if he gives like $20 a month versus like $15 a month, right? And it's like now you got to fulfill it, and it gets, just keep it simple, right? So you always already have giving levels, different amounts on your donation form. So I would not even worry about that. All right, Blue Bank's not user-friendly for donors to change amount of the monthly gift. Donor wants to increase, change, or cancel the gift. We have to do that in the database. Then a donor can set up a new recurring gift. Any ideas, examples of overcoming this hurdle when asking donors to take action? Yeah, I mean, I see this a lot with upgrades. So organizations that are reaching out like once or twice a year to ask their monthly donors to upgrade, it's very clunky. And there's a lot of systems out there that it's still really, really clunky. And while it's great that people say, oh, we want donor portals, the reality is donors don't want to use donor portals, right? So what ends up happening is they might call you and say, well, I want to change my gift, but can you do it for me? Right? Which is probably what you're saying, right? So, and I know, there's this people say that they want more donor portals. But most of the, especially, I would say, especially older donors, they're like, what was my password again? So they just don't want to deal with it, right? So they might still, call you, right? So yeah, I mean, and I think the other thing is, if a donor contacts you to make a change, that's a great opportunity for you to upgrade them or save them if they want to lower their amount or if they want to cancel it, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing that they want to talk to you, right? Again, but yeah, but upgrades are typically the bulk of the things. With updates, so if you're asking a donor to provide you with their updated credit card information, for example, I recommend that you create a different page. Just create a new page. And then you may have to cancel the old one in the back end, but that's okay. But that way the donor just fills in their updated information on a new page. But yeah, it's a little clunky. All right. Do I want to keep going? I mean, I'm already too, it's like, all right, let's see here. I don't know
We're at
what,
time,
yeah,
but maybe
yeah.
maybe one more question.
One more question. How much growth in number of monthly donors and a revenue from them is best practice? Is there a percentage benchmark? Great question. I would say, again, start with what you have now and see what that percentage is of your donors. And then it's all over the map. I mean, I was looking at one of my clients the other day, 53% of their revenue comes from monthly giving, right? But what we're seeing with organizations that have fewer than 20,000 monthly donors, they're seeing about 15% of their donors give monthly. But there's organizations that are seeing 60% of their donors give monthly, right? But they've been at it for a while and they're using multiple channels, right? So if you're doing online and mail, I mean, yeah, just start with what you have and see if you can double it with a couple of campaigns, right? But yeah, 15% is a really nice goal to strive for. Um, but it's all over the map. And again, I actually have a statistics page on my website, and you can literally find any statistic that I've ever come across on monthly giving. It's right there. So so feel free to reach out if you have any questions. If there's questions that I haven't answered today, I'm very email friendly. So so send me an email and I'll respond to you. So yeah. So all right. Well, thanks so much for everybody and yeah, go get those new monthly donors because they're worth it.
Great.
And
Thank
thanks,
you.
Julie, and AFP. Thanks, CharityEngine for hosting this, and for AFP for hosting this, and thanks, Robbie, for being the driver here on all the questions and the polls and everything. So.
Oh, no problem. You have been fantastic, and thank you so much for that great presentation. And on behalf of AFP Global, I would like to thank you for your participation in today's webinar live stream. Please take a moment to complete our survey, which helps us program future events. Our next webinar, What's Love Got to Do with It? Exploring Donor Relations Through a Trauma-Informed Lens, is tomorrow, October 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. This concludes today's stream. Thank you and have a great day.